classes examples of what I saw when I was a little kid and moved from Iowa to Texas, which was quite a culture shock. Taiwan's no longer an authoritarian state. It's a multi-party democracy and democratic state. So why would anyone claim the Hong Kong experience is relevant for Taiwan? Well, 40 years ago, Beijing dropped threats to liberate Taiwan. They still say they can take it, but they used to always say liberate. And if possible, pursue a peaceful reunification formula called one country, two systems. And they put all sorts of things in there, like people in Taipei could take up posts of leadership and private property would be protected. You could have your own armed forces. I don't understand why, but you could. And then they said all these things are actually negotiable, but they never explained which ones are and which ones aren't. So it's one country, two systems. So you had a president who was pretty interesting and quite a politician, Jiang Jingguo. He replied, rather than say no, whatever, he said, if you want to talk, preconditions for talks, we have a condition too. You renounce communism and recognize the three principles of the people. Then we'll talk about talking. Okay? Which was widely accepted in Taiwan at the time. There he is at the bottom there, judging the law. So the Taiwan people in one country, two systems. The Taiwan people supported Jiang Jingguo's decision 40 years ago. Polls show that they still support it today. There is no market, as was pointed out, for one country, two systems in Taiwan. And that doesn't make any difference about riots in Hong Kong or not. That's been consistent. All politicians oppose it. And as Han Kuo-yu declared, one country, two systems would be applied to Taiwan only over my dead body. So politicians say, oh, he's going to turn it into one country. I won't use the word that I was going to say. What about the 92 consensus? How does that fit into all of this mix? One should not jump to the lazy conclusion that rejection of one country, two systems means Taiwanese support hostile policies towards the mainland. Scientific polls, and not the nonsense polls. Most polls in Taiwan are what we call nonsense polls. Now, I could point out names of newspapers engaged in that, like the Liberty Times and stuff, but I wouldn't dare do that. Okay, but they put out these nonsense polls. However, Duke University is involved in this project, the Taiwan National Security Survey, which has been polling people for 20 years now almost. And it's scientific, it's professional, and they do it. Very few politicians in Taiwan like to read it because it doesn't always go with everyone's narrative, whether you're blue or red or green. But they always show most people in Taiwan do support one country, different interpretations to move relations forward. Or they don't, or you could use the trigger word, 1992 consensus, which always gets them, make people go, oh my God, that's awful. But if you ask them about the use the term or what it is, they like that idea. It is not, and I underline there, a reunification formula. It is not one country, two systems. It's simply what we call a modus vivendi, a method by which relations can move forward. So you can get all of those tourists from the mainland into Taiwan, which are now, of course, this week we're going to lose the individual tourists. So you don't have to go to Hong Kong to get to Taiwan. How many of you used to do that? How many of you didn't like doing that? I was an election observer in, was it 2012? 2008, whatever, and the American Chamber of Commerce gave us a little brief. They said this was so stupid. It was wrecking business in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, and it was taking them 3 days to what they ought to be able to do in an afternoon. because they'd have to send their businessmen down through Hong Kong, up to Shanghai, do the business, stay overnight, go back. It's crazy. Well, it's gone. But that's as a result of the 92 consensus. If these people hate this thing so much, why don't they just roll it back? And I mean some of the politicians in Taipei. Well, they think it's a good idea just so long as they don't have to use the word and do these things. So summary, the one country, two systems reunification formula was foisted on Hong Kong. They didn't vote for it. It's not a democracy. It was without their input, consent, or approval because Hong Kong was a colony. It was an anachronism left over from the 19th century, part of imperial Great Britain. And this will never happen in Taiwan. Taiwan is not anyone's colony. It is a democratic state. So I don't understand, I understand some of the motivations, but I don't understand really the logic for claiming that the two things are inseparable and indistinguishable. Thank you very much.